Battle through the heavens. The enormous mountain range was covered in fog, appearing just like a magical beast from ancient times at this moment. Numerous deep rumbling sounds were emitted from the sky of the mountain range. Accompanying the appearance of these loud sounds was a vast energy that came from all directions. Boom! The vast energy churned quickly within the dense fog. In the end, it emitted a sound similar to the churning of ocean waves. This strange scene caused quite a number of people to let out an exclamation. Nature was indeed filled with mysteries. The enormous energy tide turned into a colorful one. Under the sunlight, it appeared just like an incomparably spacious river. It hung in the sky, looking extremely gorgeous. However, under its brilliance hid a fatal danger. Even Xiao Yan could not help but feel shocked in the face of this spectacular scene. By relying on his extraordinary spiritual perception, he could clearly sense the colorful energy within it had reached an extremely frightening level. This place is indeed worthy of being the Central Plains. Such a scene is not something that one would be blessed enough to see in other places. Xiao Yan stood up after letting out a soft laugh. His gaze was thrown toward the Heaven Eye mountain range. At this moment, the energy within the mountain range had become so dense that it caused one to be surprised. Although one would not be able to train for long within it, such an attempt would definitely make for some efficient training. No wonder so many people were attracted despite clearly knowing that there were only 10 spots in the Heaven Mountain blood pool. It was likely that quite a number of people were planning to train within the mountain range during this period of time. Xiao Yan's eyes looked at the sea of people only to end up smiling. There was a fiery heat within his eyes. The fight for this Heaven Mountain blood pool had somewhat exceeded his expectations. It was likely that this competition would also be quite exciting. Moreover, he also wanted to try and see just what level the members of the younger generation in the Central Plains were at. Bang! A chaotic sound of footsteps as well as a loud roar suddenly sounded while this thought lingered in Xiao Yan's heart. Immediately, he saw the large sea of people noisily moved, forming a human flow that wildly surged into the mountain range. Has it begun? The entire surroundings of the Heaven Eye mountain range had become fiery hot within an instant. Screech! Elders, the both of you should wait outside of the mountain range. Leave the rest to me. The colorful-dressed lady on the enormous crane glanced at the torrent-like human flow below before speaking faintly to the 2 old men on the enormous crane. Yes. The 2 elders hurriedly nodded their heads when they heard her words. The colorful-clothed lady smiled gently upon seeing this. This fight for the Heaven Mountain blood pool was a grand event that occurred once every 3 years. Moreover, most of those who joined were from the younger generation. Being able to stand out in this place was proof of one's ability and talent. The colorful lady's toes pressed against empty air and a faint silver glow appeared. She looked at the entrance within close proximity and the corner of her mouth was involuntarily lifted into a faint arc. Her figure was just like a noble phoenix that descended toward the entrance. Chi! Humph! That human figure merely let out a cold snort in the face of this colorful-clothed lady's attempt to stop him. He flipped his hand and a wild and violent wind surged out of his sleeves. The 2 invisible winds collided in mid-air, emitting a low, deep sound as they did so. With the aid of the repulsion force, the human figure drew an arc through the air, landing in the mountain range. Damn it, who is that little fellow? He has actually entered the mountain range ahead of Miss Fong. Haha, the old me has said that with so many present, there will definitely be dark horses appearing. It is just that I did not expect it to be so soon. The mountain range was covered with a dense fog. This fog contained a somewhat wild, violent energy that greatly limited one's sight. A figure broke through the forest and entered this quiet mountain range. He gently landed on the ground, revealing a young face. This figure was Xiao Yan. She is indeed worthy of being called the most outstanding person among the younger generation within the Wind Lightning Pavilion. She does possess some ability. Xiao Yan glanced behind him after landing on the ground, and laughed within his heart. Immediately, he threw his gaze all around him and involuntarily let out a frown. The energy fog was too dense. Additionally, this Heaven Eye mountain range was vast. It was going to be difficult to reach the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool. Xiao Yan did not turn his head despite sensing the slight activity behind him. Instead, his body moved and swiftly rushed into the mountain range. Halt! The colorful clothed lady immediately cried out coldly upon seeing that Xiao Yan was about to leave. However, Xiao Yan appeared to have not heard her cry. His footsteps had instead become even faster. Qi. Although the colorful satin seemed to be made of cloth, it possessed a metallic luster. Clearly, it was not an ordinary item. Surprise also flashed through the pretty eyes of the colorful clothed lady when she saw Xiao Yan strangely dodge her attack. Her hand shook and another colorful satin shot out from her sleeves. This satin appeared like a poisonous snake that curled in midair and trickily entwined around Xiao Yan. The colorful clothed lady's face turned cold when she saw the fire trail heading over. A powerful green-silver Dou Qi that seemed to be the merger of wind and lightning shot along the satin. Finally, it violently collided with the trail of fire. Bang! A low, deep explosion erupted in this quiet mountain range. These two powerful energies scattered most of the dense fog around. A half-a-meter deep pit appeared on the ground. A Dou Qi formed from the merger of wind and lightning. Miss Foam from the Wind Lightning Pavilion does live up to her reputation. Xiao Yan's eyes stared intently at the colorful clothed lady as he slowly spoke. At the same time, the colorful satin did not show any signs of breaking despite having experienced such a violent attack. A two-elemental affinity constitution was not very suitable for training because the elements were not pure. It was still alright for a constitution like that of Xiao Yan. The wood affinity only occupied a small part of his body. However, this woman in front of him was not only able to train until now, but was actually able to perfectly merge these two elemental Dou Qis together. The strength of this merged Dou Qi would soar. By being able to destroy my Wind Lightning Pavilion's 9 Heavenly Lightning Prison Formation and successfully escape from Northern Pavilion Chief Fei Tian's hands, you also live up to your reputation. The colorful clothed lady's pretty eyes focused intently on the skinny, young man in front of her before suddenly laughing softly. Don't you agree, Xiao Yan? The faces of the surrounding people suddenly paled when these words were uttered. Xiao Yan. He is the Xiao Yan who killed Qin Yun. Numerous stunned gazes were looking at the young man a short distance away within a forest that was permeated by fog. The name Xiao Yan had been spread wildly during this period of time. It was rare that someone from the younger generation could force an expert like Fei Tian to personally act. Moreover, the thing that was even more shocking was that this person was able to escape from Fei Tian's hands. This really stunned many people. There was hardly anyone within the northern region of the Central Plains who did not know just how terrifying that old demon Fei Tian was. You can walk your own path and I will take my own route. If you don't disturb me, I will also not attack you. Xiao Yan stared at the colorfully dressed lady as he slowly spoke. He could sense that the strength of this lady was quite great. Moreover, had been picked as the most probable candidate for the position of the next Wind Lightning Pavilion's leader. Xiao Yan definitely did not believe that she did not possess any skill. Currently, Xiao Yan's aim was to become one of those 10 names. Thus, he did not want to engage in a direct conflict with her. Naturally, he did not wish to waste his efforts right from the start. What an arrogant tone. I will also not attack you now. I will wait for you at the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool. If you have the qualifications to reach that place, we will settle the grudge that you and the Wind Lightning Pavilion possess. The colorful clothed lady's pretty eyes looked at Xiao Yan as she softly laughed. Her laughter contained a coldness. Of course, if you have been defeated before you even reach the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool, it will only mean that all the things that you have accomplished are due to you borrowing the strength of others. It's a pity that they did not actually fight. I wonder just who would be stronger if the two of them were to really exchange blows. The surrounding crowd inevitably became disappointed after watching these two people take separate routes, leaving upon meeting each other. They are not fighting now because they wish to preserve some strength. There are many powerful magical beasts within the Heaven Eye Mountain range. The surroundings of the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool are extremely concentrated with them. If one wishes to charge through this magical beast crowd and arrive at the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool without having some ability, it is likely that the person is only courting death for no reason. However, these two people will definitely engage in a fierce fight once they arrive at their destination. The quiet mountain range had gradually become lively as everyone spread out. An unknown number of people had entered the Heaven Eye Mountain range this time around. This large number of people had caused this mountain range, which was renowned for its many magical beasts, to become filled with energy. Of course, there was a hidden danger amid this liveliness. On the whole, the Heaven Eye Mountain range might be filled with danger, but it could also be considered a treasure mountain. As long as one possessed sufficient luck and ability, it was not difficult to return with many rewards. Xiao Yan's figure flashed and appeared within the forest that was permeated by fog. His gaze swept around him as he frowned. This fog was blended with energy that could not be expelled. It greatly hindered one's sight. A person was just like a headless housefly within it, repeatedly running around in a random manner. The map is completely useless. The only thing that I know is that the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool is located in the deep regions of the Heaven Eye Mountain range. However, how long will it take to reach the deep region if I continue to randomly roam around? Xiao Yan paused his footsteps and mused for a moment. His body suddenly leaped and appeared on the top of a tree branch. His eyes swept around before he swiftly leaped up. A moment later, he finally appeared on the top of a tree. I cannot use old Mr. Yao's strength within the Heaven Eye Mountain range. Otherwise, the effect would be unpredictable. Hence, I can only rely on myself, Xiao Yan softly sighed. He knew that the Miss Phone was definitely clearly aware of the route to reach the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool. With the ability of the Wind Lightning Pavilion, they should be quite familiar with this Heaven Eye Mountain range. The problem of the fog should have long been expected by them. Hence, she was able to rush to the destination without any fear and save the time wasted on other routes. It is good to possess a faction behind one. The Heaven Mountain Blood Pool will appear one day after the energy tide appears. In other words, I must reach that place within one day. Otherwise, I will not have the blessing of enjoying the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool. Although Xiao Yan was unaware of the exact location of the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool, it was likely that the formation of this unique blood pool, in the middle of the mountain range, would require an unusually great amount of pure energy. In other words, the Heaven Mountain Blood. Following the swift spread of Xiao Yan's spiritual perception, the traces of energy ripple within a 5-kilometer radius was clearly reflected into Xiao Yan's mind. The direction in which the energy flow was also gradually grasped by Xiao Yan. The North Xiao Yan's tightly shut eyes were suddenly opened around half an hour later. His gaze suddenly turned to the north. From his perception, this mountain range's energy seemed to be faintly gathering in that direction. Xiao Yan used this fierce and swift speed to advance for an hour before he gradually slowed down a little. Following his gradual entrance into the deep regions of the mountain range, the strength of the magical beasts hidden within the dense fog also seemed stronger. He would definitely attract the magical beasts over if he continued to fearlessly advance. Although Xiao Yan was not afraid, he really did not wish to end up slowing down because of them. Xiao Yan's figure once again leaped onto an enormous tree. He was just about to charge forward when his heart moved. His gaze looked toward a spot not far in front of him. A human and a beast were fighting at that spot. When he saw the large magical beast, Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes a little. He was a little startled in his heart as he said, "It is actually a rank 6 magical beast." Xiao Yan's gaze paused on the magical beast. After which, it turned to the human figure facing the beast. Anyone who could reach this place at this time was definitely not an ordinary person. The person in front of him was likely not an exception. The black-clothed man's face moved slightly when Xiao Yan arrived at this place. His hand slowly grabbed the sword hilt on his back and his footsteps gently shifted. Immediately, he rushed forward. Qi. The man and beast crossed each other in a lightning-like manner. A sword glow was emitted in a fleeting manner. Clang! What a fast sword movement! Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed slightly. With his eyesight, he was only able to vaguely see the black-clothed young man drawing the sword. This person was quite powerful. Have you seen enough? The black-clothed man slowly raised his head while Xiao Yan was stunned in his heart. After which, his gaze shot toward Xiao Yan as he asked with a faint voice. Xiao Yan ceased hiding after seeing that he had been discovered. He revealed himself, swept his gaze over the black-clothed man, and said, "I am only passing by. There is no need to be anxious. I am Tang Ying from the 10,000 Sword Pavilion. You seem a little unfamiliar. May I know which faction do you belong to or which clan do you come from?" The black-clothed young man cupped his hands to Xiao Yan as he inquired. He had heard about a little of the experts from the younger generation within the Central Plains. However, this was indeed the first time whom he had seen the person in front of him. Therefore, he had asked in a more detailed fashion. It was right to ask a little more when one roamed the world. The worst were those people who do not know their limits and think that their father is the strongest when they are nothing. Fortunately, this 10,000 Sword Pavilion Tang Ying was not such a person. Otherwise, he might well end up being finished in this place. That would be a pity to his half a lifetime of training and the great expectations from his faction. 10,000 Sword Pavilion. Xiao Yan felt startled in his heart when he heard this name. It was unexpected that this person was someone from the 10,000 Sword Pavilion. Moreover, the name Tang Ying was one that he had heard of when he had been outside of the mountain range. He was also a young, talented person who was comparable to Miss Feng from the Wing Lightning Pavilion. Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment before cupping his hands together and replying, "Xiao Yan." "Xiao Yan." Xiao Yan smiled and mentioned casually, "It is merely a little conflict." Tang Ying's eyes involuntarily changed a little when he heard direct acknowledgement from Xiao Yan. He was naturally aware of the conflict between Xiao Yan and the Wind Lightning Pavilion during this period of time. Even if his ability to break through the 9 heavenly lightning prison formation placed by the 3 elders was really due to him borrowing the strength of others as the rumors had said, it was still quite outstanding. Looking at it this way, there was another strong opponent in the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool competition this time around in addition to the people from the other 3 pavilions. A small conflict would not be able to draw out an old demon like Fei Tian. Tang Ying also did not seem like a talkative person. After randomly saying some words, he did not wish to stay any longer. He said, "Now is not the time to chat. Hopefully, I will be able to meet you at the Heaven Mountain stage. At that time, we might be able to work together." Tang Ying did not wait for Xiao Yan's reply after saying such words. His figure moved and he swiftly entered the dense fog. He disappeared within the blink of an eye. But what is this Heaven Mountain stage that this fellow mentioned? Ugh, this place is really foreign to me and all the information is indeed hidden, Xiao Yan frowned. He let out a soft sigh as his toes pressed on a tree branch. His body was just like a large bird that plunged down. Finally, he also charged into the dense fog. However, Xiao Yan had no other choice. He did not have a path and it was impossible for him to come to this place without relying on the flow of energy to act as a signboard. The Heaven Eye mountain range was incomparably vast. This, along with the lingering fog, made it appear just like a maze. The number of people around decreased the deeper Xiao Yan headed into the mountain range. Xiao Yan had only met two others after Tang Ying. These two people were quite strong with the both of them being at the Dou Huang class. They were engaged in an intense battle with a rank 6 magical beast when Xiao Yan discovered them. However, it was clear that these two people's perception was not as sharp as Tang Ying. Hence, they did not discover Xiao Yan's trail. All they did was roughly observe their surroundings before quietly leaving. This kind of environment was extremely unsuitable for traveling. It was likely that even Miss Feng, Tang Ying, and the others who possessed a map would stop traveling at this time. An entire day of traveling and fighting with magical beasts would have exhausted them. If they did not take the opportunity to quickly recuperate, it was likely that they would have difficulty enduring the rest of the way to the Heaven Mountain blood pool. Xiao Yan also hesitated in the face of this kind of terrible environment to travel. However, after musing for a moment, he clenched his teeth. He only rested for a moment before beginning to travel. Hence, if Xiao Yan truly wished to catch up to those fellows, he needed to travel during the night. This might be quite dangerous, but it was fortunate that by relying on his spiritual perception, Xiao Yan could try his best to reduce the level of danger. Xiao Yan's feet violently stomped on a tree branch. The powerful and fierce force caused the large tree to violently tremble. His figure had also transformed into a blurry black shadow, swiftly shuttling through this dark forest. Bang! A figure suddenly flashed within the dark forest where one could not even see one's fingers. Immediately, a palm was violently imprinted on the body of a magical beast hidden to the side. The force surged out and shook the beast until it heavily collided against a tree trunk. It had lost its life before it had the time to let out a roar. Who? A human figure gently landed on a tree branch amid the darkness. He let out a rough breath and a moonlight stone was lifted. Warm light was emitted, and was immediately reflected by the surrounding fog. However, Xiao Yan's young face was revealed with the help of the light. Xiao Yan took out a medicinal pill and stuffed it in his mouth as his gaze glanced at the corpse of the magical beast a short distance away. He quickly sat cross-legged. Traveling through the night had exhausted him. Additionally, fighting with those troublesome magical beasts along the way had used up quite a bit of his strength. I should put in more effort. Hopefully, I will be able to catch up to those fellows before morning arrives. Xiao Yan licked his mouth and quietly laughed. His body moved, transforming into a black figure that once again entered the dark forest. Xiao Yan was unconcerned about the shock in these people's heart. He was able to sense the light within the forest was gradually becoming much brighter. Clearly, night was gradually withdrawing. When the sky gradually brightened, the magical beasts, which were unusually active at night, also gradually withdrew. The beast roars in the mountain range had also weakened. The density of the energy in this place is incredible. No wonder it is able to form a mysterious thing like the Heaven Mountain blood pool. It is likely that this place is already in the deepest regions of the Heaven Eye mountain range, Xiao Yan softly muttered. He immediately braced his attention. Looking at this, it seemed that he was about to arrive at his destination. Xiao Yan's gaze glanced toward his left before it was quickly withdrawn. He had seen a lot of similar situations along the way. Xiao Yan was not a saint and did not spend the effort to help each person he passes. With a shake of his head, Xiao Yan moved his toes, and continued forward. This voice was moving and wonderful. It was likely that its owner was a beauty. Moreover, Xiao Yan was not unfamiliar with this voice. He even felt that it had stirred a particularly deep memory.